Biggest win since? I think we can partially answer that question, but of course, let's let the season play out as well, because that will determine much of what this win on Saturday against Texas A&M, putting up a big 48 spot on the Aggies defense, will mean going forward. Welcome to Hurricanes Live right here at the Voice of College Football. We appreciate you all stopping by. Do what you can to support us here at the Voice of College Football and this show in particular, whether that's, of course, you can hit the like button, subscribe right here, get on over to State of the U. This is the time to get there and soak in all the resources there at State of the U for a 2-0 football team and for the rest of the 23 season. Cam's here. That's always a good thing. And Cam makes this show go. Cam, how you doing tonight?
I am great. So, got a big win. Sorry, I had to mute my phone. It was going crazy. But, yeah, big win on Saturday. Overcame some adversity that I don't think that we would have previously overcome. And, yeah, things are going in the right direction.
So let's go to the incident that, of course, was difficult for everyone to witness. Late in the game, there's only about 2 minutes left in the game when Kam Kinchens was carted off the field. Everyone, regardless of your rooting interest, I hope was concerned at that moment. And what do we know about Cam's situation now?
Yeah, Kam Kinchens, all the tests passed, whatever way you want to say it. But he passed all of his tests. He's been released from Ryder, the trauma center at the University of Miami Jackson Health Center. Mario Cristobal knew before he went over there after like the pressers and everything. So he came into the press conference room on a million. How about them Hurricanes? Yeah. And like, we're all sitting there like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, I don't know how to react because, like, yeah, we won, but Kam Kinchens got carted off and then helicoptered to the trauma center, and everything. My phone was also blowing up then because I actually happened to work with one of his down the line. I think it's like a cousin or something, a family member of his. And, so, like, they saw that and everything, and we're just kind of like, we're waiting on you to tell us how to react, because it would feel dirty if we're all like, woo, yeah, and then it's like, okay, the first thing I'm going to say, and it would have been negative. So we were all kind of on pins and needles. But, you saw the dancing video from the locker room, and I think it was Manny Navarro made the point later on as we were having a conversation, a few of us in the press box. He's like, Mario wouldn't have been acting like that post-game if he didn't already know that Kam Kinchens was okay. And it has checked out all the things. So I do not know if he's going to play this week or anything like that. But he has been released from the hospital. Everything's checked out. He's posted on social media. He had a FaceTime call with Gilbert Frierson that night from the Ryder Center, just sitting up holding his own phone and everything that Hurricane Sports and Canes Football reposted on socials and things like that. So, he seems to be doing well and everything. Like I said, all the tests have checked out, thank the Lord. So, Kam Kinchens seems to be fine.
I did not really get locked in on this game until the final drive of the first half, maybe the final 2 drives of the first half, the stop, and then to get the ball back into TBD's hands to go bam, 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 bam down the field, touchdown to get within, I believe, 17 or take a 21-17 lead at half because of the network situation with the Notre Dame NC State game. And I think it was on ESPN News and I couldn't get that. So anyway, that's at the point that I dropped in on this game, having known that there were a couple of special teams gaffes that led to Texas A&M scores. So I will let you take it from here in regards to the infamous or famous good, the bad, and the ugly, and what that looked like for you on Saturday. Because good finally triumphed. It triumphed in the end, at least.
Absolutely. Finally getting a win over a ranked team, a team of quality. Miami struggled with those for many a year. And I was saying, about bouncing back, being resilient. This team got down 10-0. And I was very prepared for the wheels to fall off and it to go really off the rails and, 44-16 A&M type thing. And we punched back. That next drive after 10-0, walked down the field and scored a touchdown. I said, hold on a second. That's different. To the point where asked about it after the game, Tyler Van Dyke said, yeah, last year's team, we get down 10-0, quit, fold, it's a wrap. And who knows what the crooked number is that we would have allowed to the other team and all that stuff. This year's team is not last year's team. And you saw that in that moment, because literally I was talking with the people around me in the press box. I literally said it and I fully expected it. 10-0, coming out, run for 4, pass for 4, maybe an inside run that doesn't get it or incompletion, 3 and out, punt, A&M walks down the field, another touchdown, 17-0. That did not happen. And that right there showed mental fortitude that we have not seen from the Hurricanes in a good long time. The referees were atrocious. Miami had 10 penalties for 115. Half of those were just phantom calls. They called Francis Mauigoa, the offensive lineman, they called him for 3 holds. 2 of them were him ragdolling somebody. Where I come from, that's a pancake. Like, if you're not big enough, right, hit the weight room, kid. Like, he got his hands inside the frame and everything where they're supposed to be. Yoink, holding. How was that holding? How? Because he's 6'6", 330 and he's stronger than this other guy who's a 5-star on the other side? That's not holding. And they called James Williams on a phantom call. They moved so quickly on the broadcast because in the press box, it was crazy. We were almost 2 full plays ahead live from television. Mm-hmm. So we would see it, and then we would watch the previous play's replay, right? So if it's like second down, we see that second down play. Look up at the screen, see the replay or the televised first down play, talk about it. So like that's how far in advance it was. And there was all that time because like the broadcast being 22 seconds behind had plenty of time to cut to, all these replays and all these sideline shots and that penalty on James Williams happened, going right to the next play. What? Excuse me? Like, so the one time that like we're dying for a replay, 2 plays later, now remember on the screen, they go zoom and they just cut out 10 seconds of the broadcast that they had done the entire day.
And what was James Williams called for?
Unsportsmanlike conduct, something. I don't know, but I sure didn't see it live, looking at the field and seeing all 22 players. I was praying that they would have shown something because, like, to right now, I have no idea what it was. But, things like that. The running game could have been better. It was okay. The offensive line really did great work. If you looked at those touchdown passes, Tyler Van Dyke was back there scratch baking a cake, man. That touchdown to Isaiah Horton, he patted the ball 4 or 5 times. They ran a little stutter go. He was like, okay, cool. Counting his steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There goes the stutter. Okay, cool. Now I'll throw it. Like, I mean, if you just freeze frame it, he had, shut up phone. My Google Assistant on my phone's picking up. But if you freeze frame it, like when he threw the ball, you can see like this gap on the screen between Tyler Van Dyke being back here and the offensive line being, it was super crazy. TVD with the Miami Hurricanes record, 5 touchdown passes against a ranked team. That has never happened for a Miami Hurricanes quarterback, 374 and 5 tutties. Should have been 6 touchdowns if Jacoby George doesn't drop one. That was a dime in the back of the end zone on a post. And look, we've been hearing about Jacoby George for years. I've seen him. Like, I saw him. I was still working at Miramar when he was in high school. And I remember calling a playoff game or a regular season, whatever, a game when he was there. This kid and his routes, crazy. And he spoke after the game, too. And he said, look, I got off today because, like, they couldn't stick me. And like, you hear the things in practice. He's getting open all the time. You watch the cut up of his routes against Texas A&M, and Texas A&M's secondary lost a couple guys there and clearly took like 3 or 4 steps back. But he was lighting them on fire like a bocce. My God, it was crazy. He was just I mean, defenders are spinning like tops all day long trying to stay in front of Jacoby George, which I love to see. And I did ask him after the game about the fourth touchdown. And I should have had that one. I'm like, yeah, you should have. But, hey. But the passing game getting vertical was really, really great to see. And I haven't written it yet, but remember this time last year, when I wrote that piece about there not being any explosive plays in the Miami offense, I came on here and talked about it. People in the comments still there because, it was bereft of explosive plays. Through 2 games this year, where is it? I'm scrolling up the sheet. Where to go? Hold on. Explosiveness, isolated points per play, 1.57. That's 5th in the country. Marginal explosiveness, 4th in the country. Explosive play rate, 11th in the country. This is what I was talking about. And we've gone from literally we were in the 128 to 130 range this time last year to 2 of the 3 explosiveness stats being top 5 and the other one being 11th. This is what I'm talking about. We needed explosive plays, and that's not even taking into account a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Look, when you have the type of players and athletes that Miami does, if you use them the right way, i.e. the way that they've been used, just like Mark said, you're going to get this. This is why you hear when there's a long bomb thrown at every Optimus Park, at every 7-on-7. You go down to Traz Powell at FIU North on a whatever day to see high school football. Anytime you see one of those, what do you hear? If you're from South Florida or you've been around in the chat, you know what I'm about to say. Boo! Because that's what happened, because somebody bombed, right? And all of a sudden, you run those same kind of routes. You play these players in those ways. And all of a sudden, now you have another record-setting day by Tyler Van Dyke, who, again, the war criminal that Josh Gaddis is for what he did with this offense last year. Look at all the numbers of any time that Tyler Van Dyke has been coordinated by somebody not named Josh Gaddis. Money, money, money. And I think hopefully this is going to continue. But there was a lot to like. There were some things not to like. If I go back, sorry, I should have had it queued up when I was blathering on for all of that time. Where to go? We've written so many pieces, I got to scroll down further. I love that for me. Which is to say that you should be checking out stateofu.com because we have a lot of stuff up there. Well, first of all, the delay of the Notre Dame game, Notre Dame NC State got delayed like 2 hours for weather. Borregales missed a 54-yarder. He's hit from 55, so if we're going to continue to go with him from that distance, I need you to cash those, and you have the leg to do it, so please do that. 3.2 yards per carry could have been better. Again, only 3 of 9 on third downs. Remember last week I was saying you wanted that 42% to be your rate-ish against good teams, and then against inferior teams you wanted to be higher. This is the backslide that I was afraid of. And look, I know that we only had 9 third downs because of so many plays that went for touchdowns, but still you want to have a little bit of a higher efficacy rate on that. Did not sack the quarterback, but we tattooed that man. He got hit a lot. And anything really super egregious, obviously the special teams errors, it's really not hard to allocate the talent on special teams. It should be Xavier Restrepo on punts, and then Brashard Smith and insert other, but Brashard Smith is the lead kick returner on kicks. He has 2 returns this year, 1 for 40 and 1 for 98. That's a 69-yard average and 1 touchdown on 2 returns. Why are we playing around? And I know that Xavier Restrepo had that huge block to open it up, but he does not have the long speed that I want in a kick returner personally. But if he's back there to be, the mobile lead blocker, I'm fine with that. I just really don't want to see him returning the kicks in terms of allocating the talent. But on that, there's that. And then just injuries. Akeem Mesidor and Branson Dean both were ruled out at halftime. Mark Fletcher also ruled out at halftime. And that's before you even get to the Kam Kinchens thing, but we just want to tighten up on the injuries, and some of the operational things did go, they went okay. There was the 13 men on defense after an offensive timeout by A&M that you can't have that. Like, come on. Like, that's, I mean, because again, you're not even you're two people too many in the defensive formation on whatever the play is. But coming off of the sideline after an A&M timeout to have that. Now, we had to call a timeout to not get the penalty, but you want to clear all that up. So, but all in all, a solid game. Miami ended on a 41-16 run. This game was not as close as the scoreboard indicates. This was like a 4 or 5 touchdown blowout, if not for gifting them so many opportunities. Their first 2 touchdown drives covered a total of 24 yards. Like, Miami really, really beat down Texas A&M, and you should be happy about that.
I'm looking forward to responding to this first comment by Mr. HD. So here's the deal, Mr. HD. I'll make the same statement here that I made actually to the Florida State crowd a couple weekends ago because I picked LSU to win, and then a number of people called me a hater. So I said, first of all, my first response is, first of all, I don't care about your team. So I know that's harsh, but I don't care about your team. I love college football, and I love watching Miami play, and I watched the game against Texas A&M. I love watching good college football, and Miami's history and possibly current situation is to be respected. But I don't care about your team. I don't root against them. I don't root for them. So the first thing that comes to mind when I read something like this is, number one, in the season. So I take my predictions seriously. I don't take a whole lot of time doing them, but I like to have a good prediction record. And I looked at this a couple of years. I hit on like 70% either the exact record or within one game of everybody in the Power Five. You know what? Miami, I am consistently giving Miami like 3 wins a year that they don't cash in on. So I am overranking Miami in regards to my record prediction every year. So when you say, and I know this is with all good intentions and it's not a big deal, but you finally buying Miami stock, I keep picking Miami to have a much better record every year than they finish with. So why should I be? I thought that was a really good win against a dysfunctional, talented team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good win. There's no question about that. And you can only beat the team on the field that you're facing. So just understand, I picked this team to go 8-4. They might be ahead of schedule because I was kind of like on the border on this particular game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know I picked that 2020 team to go 8-3, and that's exactly what they did. But every other year I've picked, 8-4, 9-3, and they've gone 6-6, 5-7, whatever they've done, 7-5. So, so I am not the hater, but buying Miami stock, I just want to see a little bit more.
And I think that's fair. For me, went on a different podcast and said, I'm turning up the volume of the hype by 1 click on the dial. That's it. Not going super crazy. And for me, like, this was a loss for me on my projected 7-5. So I'm turning it up to 8-4. Boom. Right there with you. Not going further. And to Mr. AG's point, this last year's team would have folded when we got down 17-7. Facts. There were multiple chances for this team to fold and did not. Okay, sorry, I was just looking at private chat here, but got it. Yeah, but this team did not fold, and I really loved what I saw heading into the half. Instead of kind of slow playing it and being conservative, Mario tossed the keys to Shannon Dawson and said, "Go get me points," and walked down the field and got a touchdown right before the half there to go up 21-17 after having been down 17-14. But yeah, when we stopped gifting them incredible field position, I mean, the 9-yard line and the 15-yard line respectively for 2 different drives, there's not many teams who are going to be able to withstand playing defense on that kind of a short field. Like, it's just, that's a bridge too far. But once we stopped gifting them possessions inside the red zone to start, this game wasn't close, guys. It really, really, I know it was only a 15-point margin of victory. This game was not as close as the scoreboard has you think. Trust me, man.
No, Miami was clearly the better team. they were clearly in control of the game. They were the better team. They completely outplayed Texas A&M. Now, there were a couple comments made on the previous show that Cam would like to allude to as the JV show on the previous show. I do not, but the Florida State show, where that, because Miami fans were coming in saying, "Hey, we're ready. We just notched a big win," and there were some comments made in return that, well, that was a close game. That was a close game. It wasn't a close game. Now, did Texas A&M have a thread of an opportunity throughout most of the fourth quarter to make it a close game? Could they have stolen a win? Like if they would have scored 2 freakish touchdowns and won the game, like it was 41-33 with about 5 or 6 minutes left. They had just scored a touchdown, got the 2-point conversion, and they
missed the 2.
They missed the 2. 41-33.
That was the 2-point to get to 33 or to get to 35.
Okay, and I think they scored that touchdown on a 4th down, I believe. Regardless, they scored the touchdown 41-33. I'm thinking at that point, obviously there are 5 minutes left. And if they can get a stop here, then they get the ball back and they can steal a win in which I would have thought, okay, Miami played better, but Texas A&M's got an opportunity. So they stayed within striking distance. They made contact. But yeah, there was not, you could not in any way make a case that Texas A&M was a better team on the field. It wasn't debatable by any stretch. And then, of course, TVD hit the long one down the right sideline, and the 2 Texas A&M defenders played Keystone Cop. And who was that? Colby. I get Jacoby George and Colby Young mixed up all the time.
Well, I mean, because half of their name is the same. Yeah. But yeah, that was Jacoby George, number 3, made that play, took the hit, adjusted his helmet because it was coming off, and then sprinted to the end zone there. He said that was his favorite of his 3 touchdowns when asked about it after the game, in case you were wondering or had that in an office pool or something. But yeah, it was Miami just kept plugging away, kept going to what was working, and that clearly was the vertical passing game. And that now when you balance the performance in the opener of a heavy rushing attack at 7 yards a carry and the super explosive vertical passing game, because again, Miami of Ohio decided they're going to play a lot of coverage and say, look, we're going to give you these singles. We're going to let you, nickel and dime us, and not give you the home run possibility. At the first chance that Texas A&M showed Miami a coverage that gave home run opportunity, home runs were hit. So, this team has shown through 2 games the ability to score in multiple ways, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
All right. This is what happens when you've got 15 channels and people doing shows all over the place. All right. Falconer TRX super sticker. Thank you so much for that, Falconer TRX. We appreciate you. I tell you, another show sponsored by Falconer TRX. It's all about the you. Thank you for that. And we've got more coming in. Falconer with Cam, have some faith, brother.
It's funny. I have faith. People were calling me Doubting Thomas yesterday because I was intentionally being cheeky. Like some of you guys need to get your sarcasm detectors fixed, because I was tweeting after the fact the game was on ESPNU, and I said, oh, hey, Texas A&M is up 17-7 on ESPNU against Miami. This game is crazy. I think that they're going to get a turnover and run away with it. Miami can't keep up, blah, 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 blah. Knowing the score because I was there. And even now, like, I think 2 of the last 3 mentions on the State of the Union kind of got it like, oh, this aged like milk. Oh, this aged poorly. Guy, I tweeted it on Tuesday from a Saturday game that I was at in the press box personally. What do you... Whatever. I'm not going to go there super crazy with it. But, like, dude, yeah, seriously, some of you guys do need to get your sarcasm detectors, like, checked and fixed, because, like, that was just so ridiculously tongue-in-cheek that I didn't expect anybody to miss it, but some people missed the joke.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I'm sure I've had many to match that, but none come to mind right now. But that is pretty bad. Falconer TRX. Texas A&M was holding all day long.
Man, it was really bad. There were some pictures that got up on social media. I mean, like jerseys being pulled off of guys. Like, you could see it live and in action, like holding at the point of attack. Like Amari Daniels from Miami Central, so he scored a touchdown for A&M. Miami kicked the tires on him, decided we were going to go in other directions in his recruiting class, so did not recruit him. So he was very excited to score at home against, the hometown team that didn't want him. But you can see on several of his runs that like the hold was at the point where he had a hole to get through the line to gain yards. It's just like, what do you got to do? It's like years ago, I was talking about how nobody, and it was, I forget the year. I would have to look back, but it was one year that it was a year and a half, I want to say, between holding penalties against Miami. And this is when we had some of the best defensive linemen in the ACC, especially on the edge, getting up the field. It's like, you're never holding Gerald Willis. You're never holding John Garvin. You're never holding Joe Jackson. You know what I mean? Like ever. Not even one time, because it was like, I think it was 14 or 15 or 17 games or something like that without a hold called against the opponent. And I fear that we're going this way because like they were up the field. I mean, Jafari Harvey, my guy Nigel Kelly, Leonard Taylor, having his jersey ripped off of him. Like, they're trying to, see what brand his pads are or something. It was really, really egregious. And like, I did wax poetic a little bit in The Good, the Bad, the Ugly about the fact that this was an SEC crew, and they like definitely gave all the benefits of the doubt and then some to Texas A&M. But like the lack of any holding being called or even discussed or even like looked at by A&M, egregious in that game with the performance with that was seen and like the egregious holds. And again, there are pictures on social media. You can go look them up and find them. It was really bad.
And there was an ACC crew, I would assume, that went to Texas A&M last year.
I believe so.
Because at some point they changed that. They used to go with out-of-conference crews.
Mm-hmm.
Would, like a Big Ten crew would come in and do a non-conference game between the SEC and the ACC. But then I think because of continuity's sake and just wanting officials to get used to, I guess, styles of play and just for continuity's sake, they started going this way and feeling it that it would be fair for the road team to have the officiating crew from its conference, which it shouldn't matter.
If you adjudicate the play that you see in front of you, but
yes, if they're doing their jobs.
Right. But yeah, no, to Falcon and TRX's point, the holding was really bad on but then again, like I said, Francis Mauagoa body slams a dude a couple times, a 5-star recruit on the other side, and it's holding. Okay, cool.
Again, the first real action that I saw where I could really hone in was bam, bam, bam at the end of the first half after a Miami stop where TVD, a couple throws were open, but one on the sideline, he threw a beautiful ball to Xavier Restrepo.
Yeah, man. That's an NFL throw. Like, I know that he's trying to, obviously, he wants to go pro in sports. Tyler Van Dyke doesn't, wants to play quarterback in the NFL. But like, dude, that throw right there on the little, because it was like a whip route wheel combo thing, because Restrepo came in, whipped back out, and then bent it up the sideline. But I mean, Tyler Van Dyke looked it off, came back to it, dropped that ball in a bucket. I mean, Restrepo catches it right over, his dome, puts it away, 2 feet down on the sideline. Go back and look at it. That's a catch on Sundays. Like, that was pinpoint. And he, at that point, I said, oh, he's feeling it. Like, Tyler Van Dyke was just like, oh yeah, like, call what you want. And in complete opposition to the OC last year, who didn't even meet with Tyler until during the bye week about what he wanted to do, Shannon Dawson is given autonomy in a lot of instances to Tyler Van Dyke. So Tyler even said, yeah, I checked to the run a couple times. I checked to a couple passes. I saw, Jacoby George one-on-one, wherever, and said, hey, we're going to check because they couldn't stick him. So he even has the ability to say, hey, let's modify this based on him being a fourth-year player, and the experience in the game. Let me tweak or change the play call to get us into the best possible play in this situation. And, those kind of skills, that kind of ownership of the offense is really invaluable. And then, it got to the point where he was like, coach is calling vertical passes. I'm like glowing NBA Jam on fire. So I'm calling my number, and I'm calling my number again and my number again, because this right arm, y'all had questions about it. I'm going to show y'all. And 374 and 5 touchdowns, Tyler Van Dyke showed us.
We also have Muhammad chiming in. Muhammad, we appreciate your contribution. Even with the refs on their payroll and us spotting them 14 points, we still beat that what. Go Canes. F Jimbo.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, he's talking about the 2 touchdown drives that were gifted to them, which,
because of the penalty. I thought he was talking about the first 2 gaffes.
No. It was, It was the 2 touchdowns, even though one was first quarter, one was right at the beginning of the second quarter. But yeah, and even look up, and I hate to say it, but the, sorry, my computer was going crazy. So, hello, you got me. There we go. Sorry, it was going crazy. But the touchdown that they scored it might have been the last touchdown. The right guard false started. It was just like Paul Johnson, Georgia Tech, when that left guard would always move early. He left 2 counts early.
I caught that.
Everybody saw it live. The stadium goes, whoa, in the press box, we're not cheering. We're like, yo, hey, you know what I mean? And he left 2 full counts early, and they score on that very play. So, reasonably, that's 3 touchdowns. So that's 21 of their 33. It was, again, it was not as close. But, yeah, no, we did. Miami really, really laid it to Texas A&M. What's his name? Jaden Davis has an incredible game. Had that forced fumble on 3rd and 1 on Amari Daniels from the crib. Recovered by Kam Kinchens. And since he's fine, Kam Kinchens interception, the first of Connor Weigman's collegiate career. Corey Couch had another one, and Kinchens also had the fumble recovery. Had another big hit. James Williams laying the lumber. Francisco Mauigoa making plays. This team, and Lance Guidry bringing pressure. Because it ended with a field goal attempt or field goal in the 3rd quarter, I want to say. Yeah, it ended on the Miami 11. Excuse me, it was 1st and goal on the 9. And after a penalty, I want to say. And Lance Guidry, defensive coordinator, just said, look, If you played Madden or the NCAA game, that Engage 8 defensive play, which is blitz everybody and have either man-to-man or 3 people playing zone in the back. We're running that every single play. Go. Stop it. And if you score because you blocked it up and you got enough room, cool. But if you don't, and it comes back on 2nd down, we're running that all-out blitz again. Cover 0, everybody go. Figure it out, and they were not able to figure that out in such a way. So, I really loved the fact of him double, tripling, quadrupling down and saying, we're going to get up the field. We're going to get pressure. And again, there was not a sack in the game, but Connor Weigman, he got pressured or hit on 39 of his 54 dropbacks, which is almost 4 out of 5. So 80% of the time that he's getting dropped back, he's getting hurried, touched, hit, you know what I mean? Something like that. I mean, look, he had a decent game. He got most of his yards in garbage time, I'll say. But Miami really got after him and made him uncomfortable. So yeah, he was able to step out of a sack here and there, and wasn't, we did not get him for like a 10-yard loss or anything like that. But the pressure consistently from this defense really disrupted what they wanted to do on offense, and it was really a beautiful thing to see.
He's a good player.
He is a good player. Weigman's going to be, he's a good player and going to get better. So, affecting him in that kind of a way was really impressive for the Hurricanes defense. But his best days are in front of him for sure.
Yeah, it's not easy for a quarterback to be playing from behind and have his tackles getting whipped, and he's got no support of a running game, partially because they can't run, number two, because they're behind, so they have to throw, and he puts it up 53 times. Plus, to his defense, the first interception was a gift, because
both of them
fell down, and that ball just landed right in.
Yeah, the thing about it is Jimbo was talking about the field and, the conditions and everything. It's like, oh, well, when they play multiple games at that stadium, what they do is they take the center section and they flip the logo. So, like, they will take it up and put down new sod and da-da-da. Go back and watch it again. Ainias Smith, who's an incredible athlete and knows movement science very, very well, he was cutting off of his inside foot. You have no leverage to do that. That's why, when you do drills, you stick the outside foot to go the opposite direction. So if I'm trying to cut right, I stick that left foot in the ground and then I go right. That's how it goes. He's trying to go right, and then he stuck that inside right foot as he's trying to do it, and it slipped out. I get it. It's a minor detail, but if you go back and look at it, cutting off your inside foot, that's how you fall. Not because of any, and like nobody else fell. There was no other things. So like Jimbo's a little bit of reaching the straws, trying to like give a little jab there. But like, hey, guy tried to cut off the wrong foot because, he's a 10-3, speedster or whatever in the 100. Maybe I can get away with it. Didn't get away with it. Also, the shenanigans of saying that on the 2-point play, Miami was clapping to simulate the snap count, and that's why the snap went early. James Williams is in the end zone, 6 yards deep in the end zone, clapping to try to get Jaden Davis's attention to communicate. That's where the clapping was. It was not a defensive lineman, which Jimbo alleged it was, that they were doing that. And he also left it open-ended because he is a wordsmith. And I swear, go watch his pressers. He speaks so fast with so much content in the words he says, so perfect. Like, trust me, it's insane. But, he's not talking fast because I listen faster. But he said they were doing that, implying it happened multiple times throughout the game. First of all, it did not happen at all. Second of all, it didn't happen at all because you're saying that it happened on the 2-point play, and you can clearly see James Williams way back here by the door that's in the blurred vision of my screen. That's where he was clapping from, trying to get Jaden Davis's attention, looking over this way. Hey, that's what that was. So miss me with that, Jimbo.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me out of Jimbo.
Not at all.
That's
jerk.
Jimbo's feeling the heat, and he should be.
And I don't even want to say jerk because jerk is a lovely phrase that I've co-opted to, empower as a Miami Hurricane. So something else, maybe not safe for work, but we can move on.
This is year 7 for Jimbo, and it's not working out.
Jimbo Sumlin?
Oh, yeah. It's he's running pretty much the same program, if that. With
way better talent, which is what the issue supposedly was. So, and I say that because Jimbo's record is very, very similar to Kevin Sumlin's from when he was at Texas A&M. Look it up.
At one point last year, they were exact. And now
exactly.
Jimbo keeps going south, and Kevin Sumlin pretty much just went across. So I guarantee right now Sumlin's got a better record at A&M than Jimbo, making $90 million. That said, I think I'm here making a good point about Connor Weigman and him missing the one throw that was his first interception in 171 pass attempts, because the receiver did fall down and he was anticipating that he was going to be open, which he probably would have been. It probably would have been a 15-yard completion, and then it landed in Kam Kinchens. But this is why we've got Cam here. This is like reason number 572 is that I thought I had a good point. No, you have inspected the game tape to a T.
Two things can be true. It was a good point. Ainias Smith was open on the square in override, whichever one that it was coming from the slot from the left going to the right. All those things are true. Also, as well, in addition, he cut off his inside foot. That's why he fell. And then it went to So, two things can be true. That's not mutually exclusive.
Falconer TRX. Appreciate you. Facts is facts, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Slim Shady Canes. So Slim Shady is part of our post-game show here at the Voice of College Football after every Miami game. So we appreciate Slim Shady,
Nice.
Alex, and Traveling Fools getting together to host our post-game. Says penalties, especially third down on defense, need to be cleaned up. Now, Cam, I will say this: are we talking about from your perspective, legitimate penalties, considering the conversation we just had?
Yeah. Let's see, third down. Francisco Malagoa held the running back on a Texas route in the first quarter, like really early. That was, yeah. So that was a real one. 3rd and 3, there was a face mask. No, like that was the offsetting with James Williams with the I have no idea where that came from penalty. Another one, 4th down, 3rd down. KJ Cloyd had a holding penalty on a 3rd down. So that's it. I mean, and then there was one on offense, Francis Malagoa. I think that was the one hold. Not the one that was him ragdolling somebody that was erroneously called as a hold. So yeah, there were a few on 3rd down, regardless of the SEC refs shenanigans. But yeah, the penalties again, 8 in the opener, and then a 10 and like there were, as I'm looking at the stat sheet, 1, 2, 3 decline penalties. So it could have even been or offsetting. So you're talking about 13 penalties, 14 getting called. That's a little aggressive. So yeah, that needs to get cleaned up.
Those SEC officials were trying to stave off what is now 1 and is it 3 or 4 against the ACC? Miami beat Texas A&M. Florida State beat LSU. Wake beat Vandy, and there's another one in there. North Carolina beat South Carolina. Yeah, 1 and 4 against the ACC. We've got Falconer TRX. Of course, he would jump on the. There's an old discussion with Falconer about turf a long time ago that I don't even remember what it was. Now I do. I actually do. I do remember what it was. We had a listener viewer who was paranoid about turf, and somebody fell down, and that cost such and such a game. That was the Colorado 5th down game of the year 1990. Who couldn't? This individual could not let that go. Like I literally get sometimes 8 and 10 comments a day from this individual, still talking about a video from 3 years ago. But Falconer, Jimbo wants to talk turf. Let's do it. All right,
appreciate the fandom, obviously. Yeah.
311 on the line. We haven't had this kind of crowd since Miami last won a decent game, or probably a recruiting surge, maybe in the off season.
Right.
Great show as always, guys. Remember to tune into the post-game show with Slim and I every week. So this must be, I'm guessing this is Alex. Alex, thank you so much for that. We appreciate it.
Turn up.
Falconer coming back. Miami getting penalties from 2002.
I mean, I would like it to stop. But also we just need to play a cleaner game in general. But to Mark's earlier point, I think that a recruiting surge could be around the corner. Now, you finally, it's not an ACC championship. It's not a national championship. It's not that. And it's not even the optimal version of this organization to Mario Cristobal's dreams, what we saw on Saturday. But the result was proof of concept. Like that is, you can sell that. And honestly, you might even be able to sell that better than what his optimum system would be. You know, running for 250, throwing for 280 or 300, that like, you know, obviously get rid of the turnovers and things like that, like a cleaner, tighter, in some ways more conservative game. You know, that would be, you know, the wet dream football from our Cristobal. But what we're seeing, throwing for almost 400, 5 touchdowns, guys running wide open, schemed open, defense flying around, hitting guys. Evan Stewart ended with a, let me look it up. Evan Stewart ended with 11 catches for 142. Over half of those yards came on the last 2 drives. So this guy who, you know, all the one that I was most worried about, he had like 64 yards going into the last, you know, 7 minutes of the game, right? You're doing everything. Like guys who you didn't, I was not sold on Jaden Davis as an outside corner. Did his dollar, you know, defensive player of the game. You know, James Williams showing up that way, Kam Kinchens, everybody. You have, you know, Brashard Smith taking a kickoff back to the crib. Like you had so many guys in the right spot playing fast, fearless, physical football, ending up on this massive run, which again was 41-16. You take away that touchdown on the false start play, it's 41-9, right? Past, you know, when you spotted them all of those points to begin with, you can sell this to anybody. And you're playing freshmen and you know, and big roles. You have guys who, you know, Jacoby George we've heard of, Colby Young we've heard of, but weren't really sure. Developing them, having them in big roles. Xavier Restrepo, a career high 126 receiving yards. Look, you had so much, and you get that big win, and now you can go and say, "This is who we are. This is what we do," and we should do it with you. And in certain places, you're going to go to guys and say, look, it's not even as good as it could be. And it's already this kind of good. Imagine if we had you, Aiden Breland, 5-star All-American from Modern Day, who just announced that his final 3 included Miami just before I came on here tonight. You know, what if I want to circle back on, you spin the block on some of these recruits who earlier picked other places? Yup. Going to do that. Jeremiah Smith. I know for a fact Brandon Ennis came to games last year, and then, you know, Miami got blown out, and he's like, "Look, I'm not even gonna entertain it because like y'all are so far away that I can't waste my career hoping that this is gonna be what it is, like what I want it to be." But you have that kind of passing game with Jeremiah Smith in the stands. I'm not saying that he's gonna come here, but you can definitely go back and sell this product now. You have this one event that is the proof of concept of changing this culture, changing this roster, improving this performance, and we need you, insert player here, to come and help us continue to ascend this program. And, you know, the chat has been asking about Booker Pickett, the legacy defensive end from Tappan Wharton. Gabby Arudia and Steve Wiltfong, both from 247 Sports, put in crystal ball predictions that he will be picking Miami. I think like literally either during or at the conclusion of the game on Saturday. So that's a guy that you guys have been asking me about. I said, yeah, we're working on it and we'll see what happens. Seeming at this point like he's going to follow in the footsteps of one of his family members and come down here, and not the other one who played up in Columbus for Mark's favorite team. But, you know, hey, everybody can't make the greatest decisions. One of the Patchen brothers went to the University of Florida when his dad, uncle, and brother all went to Miami. Yeah, you know, hey, these things happen. But you have this kind of event. You have this kind of outcome. And now everything that you're selling on the recruiting trail has more gravitas behind it. Because the other thing that I'll say before I finish talking is Miami and Texas A&M had the 3rd highest viewership of any game in America with 4.02 million viewers on Saturday. So of all the games on and all the slots, I mean, clearly Dion and everything with that media circus, they're number 1. Who was number 2?
Texas Bama.
Texas Bama, right. Boom. So, and that's the primetime ABC game. Nothing else is on. Great. So those are the only two games that got more eyes on them than the University of Miami. People are watching, people are seeing this, and this is what I'm talking about. Even when like things are not fully operational, but even going in an ascending way, this is a huge brand. This is a legacy program in the world of college football. And there were so many people watching and so many recruits in that recruiting section. This is going to have positive dividends for this team moving forward, both in this year and next year's recruiting class. But like when this continues, I really love the potential for where this class could end. Because like I said about coaches before, and even with recruits, don't feel comfortable. Because Mario Cristobal is Mr. Steal Your Dude. He's Mr. Steal Your Recruit, Mr. Steal Your Coach up off their good job. Like, it's going to start cooking. Trust.
Another point in this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the last time Miami beat good football teams would have been 2 years ago, NC State and Pitt. But those were not highly recruited teams. They were just good teams, good developed teams, but they were not on the level of a Texas A&M from a recruiting standpoint. So now, based on Saturday's performance, Mario Cristobal and his staff can also say that team that we played, they're loaded with 4 and 5 stars. We developed our players better. We schemed better, so we can put you in a better position to look good.
And the other thing, that's a really great callback to the 21 season. The other added bonus on top of those games, both of those wins against NC State and Pittsburgh that year were on the road. So like everybody's watching from the house, but like being there in Hard Rock Stadium, there was a penalty early. Oh, this is another shenanigans one. When we actually got to Connor Weigman, hit him, sacked him, boom. And then they flagged Francisco Mauigoa for that unsportsmanlike conduct, saying, oh, there was the false start and the whistle blew. Couldn't hear it. Like our photographer, Capicane, was there on that sideline all the way in that end zone, saw him in halftime. He said, Cam, you couldn't hear at all. Like nobody heard the whistle. That's why we, like the Miami players, played all the way through to the end, because they didn't hear it. The umpire standing in the middle of the defensive formation didn't hear a whistle, because apparently it came from the line judge all the way on the sideline. So you're not even talking 53 and a third across. You're talking 20 yards, 25, 27 yards away. You couldn't hear it. That's how deafening that stadium was. So think about it. Jaden Davis, funnily enough, brought up the fact he was in the recruiting section in 2017 for the Notre Dame game. And when interviewed after the game, he said, this place, I haven't been here. Obviously, he played at Oklahoma, but it was rocking that night in November of 17. The way it was rocking today was almost the same. From a kid who was in the recruiting section that day. Now, think about all the kids who were there. Think about all those things. Like, that's the vibe, that's the ethos that we're talking about. Because again, it wasn't just sitting home with your family, grabbing some wings, talking to a girl, Everybody's there in the same space, seeing this together, and brought there, by themselves. There was a basketball player, a 5-star, like top 10 player in the class, who was there on an official visit. All the football players were on unofficials. But like, it's different when you have that kind of success at home, because then you're able to get the added bonus of those visits, as opposed to being like, calling somebody, hey, it's Mario, I'm on the plane on the way back from Raleigh, North Carolina. Did you see what we did today? We did like, yeah, that's cool, but it's cooler when you do it at home.
Now you do understand the jabs that are taken by rival fan bases or other fan bases when their stadiums are packed and they tune in for this game, and you do see
some empty seats. Yeah.
Some empty seats.
Well, I mean, like, look, the band has that whole section that like they don't come close to filling half of, but they stagger every other row. There were empty seats. Sure. I'm not going to say that there weren't. South Florida is a destination location. Like, if you're really good, for that Notre Dame game, wasn't those empty seats. You know what I mean? It needs to maybe, be of that. Look, you can even go to the Heatle years, with LeBron and them. There were empty seats there. It's just the way that things go. So like, it is reasonable to say, yeah, but like, go into Hard Rock, first quarter, first third down that the Canes are on defense. It's loud, bro. It's unequivocally loud. And everybody who comes in, the coaches, the players, the fans, and everything say, yo, that atmosphere in there, it was better than I expected. They get turned up, they're like in full voice and everything. Like, it, again, this is like I was talking about earlier. Two things can be true. Were there empty seats? Yes. Was it deafeningly loud in times there? Absolutely. Miami came in onto the field after the Kinchens interception return, and you saw Tyler Van Dyke saying, yo, they need to be able to hear me, kind of a thing, because it was still that kind of volume of excitement after that. So, you have a lot of great things going on. Really excited to be 2-0. Definitely had that one as a loss. So, it should be. I'm not going to look too far ahead. We have Bethune-Cookman tomorrow in the annual FCS HBCU bye game. The average score when we've played them has been like 51 to 8.5 in the 6 year. We've only played them 6 times in history, all since 2012. Yeah, this is a name your score kind of a game, to the point where like the books haven't even dropped an over under or a betting line for this game, because like this is a mismatch. But what's next? If you saw on social, Mark put up, like, hey, had a big win for the Canes. What's next? Come and tune into the show. What's next is handling business, not getting excited, not overstepping your britches or anything. You have the 24-hour rule of, we're going to celebrate this until about 7 o'clock Sunday. If that, because they had practice on Sunday, because you had a game on Thursday. But, you got to put all that out of your mind. You got to go out there tomorrow night at Hard Rock Stadium, ACC Network, 7:30 p.m. I'll be there. Come and say hey. But you have to just go out there and handle business. And, yeah, Miami is going to win this game. But you want it to look in all the areas that we talked about improving or needing improvement. You want to see that tomorrow, right? I think this might be the first game that we see Jakari Brown of the year, because remember, Miami is trying to redshirt both he and Emory Williams. What does he look like? What does the run game look like? What do the second and third team units look like when they get in there and they get the ability to finally, get on base defense and base offense and see what these things are? This is really a fundamental game. This is where you want the starters to come out really quick. It should be 28 or 35 nothing halfway through the second quarter, and then we're layering in backups to get through, so that hopefully we can curtail some of the injury issues, and then move on to next week, which is Temple week, 4-0 or 3-0. I don't expect Temple to be much of an issue either. However, that's a conversation for future Cam, current Cam, and the current Hurricanes. Folks exclusively on Bethune-Cookman tomorrow. Go out there like businessmen, handle business, and move forward.
One of the many reasons I enjoy this show in particular, you mentioned Jaden Davis. I watch a lot of these games, especially at this point in the season, kind of blind, just their names. And of course, if they were prominent players last year, I remember them, but there's a lot of names and stats and stuff that I've put up here, but they're kind of generic. They're just,
right.
They're just names and stats. And then I watch Tennessee and Florida play, and then I try to learn from there. But yeah, Jaden Davis, I specifically, when I saw Jaden Davis making this play, that play in on that, I thought, Cam, Jaden Davis. I don't know that Cam thought he was going to be this good. Is he playing better than I expected? Because I remember Cam saying, oh, this is a good addition. This is functional player, but maybe. So I enjoy being able to take what I get from you. I'm watching the game, and I go, oh, I can fill things in and know more than just, okay, numbers and names.
Yeah, no, likewise. And, Jaden Davis, he was a fine kind of rotation player at Oklahoma. I wasn't really concerned about him when he went there. He was 5'10" on a good day. We have other guys of that size and everything, but he's come back home and he is playing incredible football. He's playing, I think, the best football of his career. Really, really a big value add. So love seeing that. And, I also love hearing that what I bring to you guys is valuable. So if you enjoy this and other kind of things, first of all, like, subscribe, set the notifications so that you're here every single week. Bring a friend or 5. Who knows? Whatever. But also come check us out at stateoftheu.com. We're open 24/7, 365. Going to be there, having all of our, game stuff tomorrow, recap, 3 stars, good, bad, and ugly. I'm going to tell you now, I have a meeting early on Friday, so the good, the bad, and the ugly is going to be pared down because I'm not going to stay at the stadium all darn night. And look, it's Bethune-Cookman. Like, I stayed and I dug for Texas A&M because, that was a game that needed digging. This one, guys, really? But in any event, that and so much more available for you. Stateoftheu.com. Please come on over and fan with us. You holler at me at Underwood Sports. There was another fan who came up to me this week, and I forgot their name. Darn it. Shucks. Fiddlesticks and all those things. I'm so sorry. I did see Stefan, who used to be a contributor at State of the U. He was there down. I was trying to get in touch with Mike McCoy, who was there tailgating, but didn't get to connect with him. But always come on over and say, hey, it's a great time. It's always a great day to be a Miami Hurricane. And onward, upward, and forward we go. 3-0 after tomorrow night, and pushing forward to the rest of the season.
Quickly through the last few super chats. Falconer TRX, thank you for that. Yes, we were all happy. Kam Kinchens seems to be okay.
Absolutely.
Falconer coming back with, are you saying Jimbo is a POS?
I mean, maybe.
Leroy, appreciate you being here. Thank you for that. Sorry, I am late. Is it wrong that I rewatched the game 6 times? LOL, great win.
No, not wrong at all. Like I said, I was live tweeting air quotations of one of the times that I went back through it as it was on ACC Network or ESPNU, the other day and everything. But no, hopefully, if this team continues to play up to their capabilities, there will be more games that we can rewatch, enjoy, and not anger. So you're not wrong for that. Hopefully the team continues to give us great content to watch and enjoy, and we'll see about that starting tomorrow night.
And is this not true? Falconer TRX with aggressive play made the U take penalties and win.
Yeah, but also the Miami rule was celebrations in that Cotton Bowl, running up the darn the breezeway and then coming back, shooting the 6-shooters. That was different than a random, unseen, unknown, unsportsmanlike. Because, if you want to do it aggressively, if you want to hashtag let's be jerks and just own it, hey, that's one thing. But, what we saw versus that, what you're saying, there's a little bit of a disconnect. But in certain ways, I'm okay with taking penalties. And the last point that I'll make, Mario Cristobal was even asked about it. James Williams got flagged for targeting, and it got reviewed, and it was not targeting at all. He led with the shoulder. It was Evan Stewart on a little square in, on a seam route, and Weigman threw a hospital ball, and he blasted him, and then it was okay, no foul, and got waved off, and it was you want to play on the edge of aggressiveness and everything, but absolutely being aggressive, absolutely being fit, fast and physical are foundations of this Miami Hurricanes football team, and I'm excited to see where that can take us.
As Kam said, bring a friend, bring 2, bring 5. We'll see you next week. Appreciate it. Kam, have a great rest of your week.
You guys too. I'll talk to you.